Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Fox, and today we'll be going through the 10.0 preview. 10.0 is now available for people with premium support to upgrade their dev environments. Customers without premium support will be able to upgrade soon, and Tempus administrators will receive email updates on the release schedule. To schedule your update, reach out to support@prosymmetry.com, and if you have any specific questions about version 10.0, reach out to support@prosymmetry.com as well. There is no cost to upgrade, and more detailed release notes are available within the Help Center. Within 10.0, we updated the attribute management layout. Administrators can now update the size of their attribute fields within their layout and choose to have them side by side or above and below each other. Additionally, they can choose the placement of the attribute label names to be to the left of the attribute field or above it. Lastly, administrators can now search for attributes within the layout to find them more easily. Within 10.0, we've made some updates to the attribute layout and workflow forms so users can have more flexibility when creating their forms. Within admin settings, attribute management, attribute layout, you'll see that we've now changed this UI. You can see your attribute and elements are now in different areas. Additionally, you can also see that there's a difference in the UI in the screen. You can still have all the same functionality where you can rename your different attributes. You can add logic, show hints, hide any of them. You can also make them drop down radio list or radio line selection fields if that's what they are. But we also added the option to make them large or medium. If they are medium, you can now move these two medium ones side by side to see them in this view instead of up and down. We also added these different arrows here where you can easily move your attributes up or down. And then we've also added an option for your label position to show either above or to the left of the attribute field. If it's above it, you can go ahead and preview your layout here. And you can see them now being above instead of to the left of the fields. Additionally, we've added a search option here to search for your attributes on the form. So if I wanted to find my portfolio, you can see that it now highlights your portfolio attribute, and you can also page up or down depending on if you have similar fields named similarly. Once you save this here, you can now go into your project or resource or assignment layouts, and you can see those changes being made in these layouts as well. Within 10.0, we're introducing skill-based planning. Users can create a skill profile for demand planning resources when planning within SBA and BPA flat grid. A skill match score will be available within resource request and resource replace to show how similar the skills and attributes are between the demand planning resource and the named resources. Also, a radar chart is available within the resource request and resource replacement screens to visualize where the skills and resource attributes are similar. Within version 10.0, we introduced skill-based planning for demand planning resources. This makes it so you can easily identify which named resources should take over the assignment from that demand planning resource based on their skills and their attributes. These can be configured within your bulk project allocation flat grid screen or your single project allocation screens. So what you can do is you can go ahead and assign allocation to your demand planning resources. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save and check that in. And then what you can do is you can click on the ellipses and click on assignment skills. This is where you can add your skills or resource attributes that you'd like for this assignment. So if you click on add skill, all of the skills within your system will be available to select from. So then you can go ahead and set them as needed for this assignment. Then you can go ahead and set your assignment attributes as well. Okay, and then once you apply this, you can go ahead and save the page. So now you can see that you have a pending request. So now when the request is now pending, the resource manager can go in and update as necessary the named resources. So you can go in as a manager here, click on your resource request screen, and you can go ahead and open up the request. Now you should see a skill match score based on the amount that the named resource has in common with the request. So I can go ahead and now click on the skill match score option here, and you can see also a radar chart based on what is similar or different to the request. You can also see a table for that information as well, and also export that to Excel. You can also easily add them to the grid by clicking this plus button. You can also find what was selected by clicking on this icon here. Now you can go ahead and make your replacement as needed. This also will be available within the resource replace screens as well. Within SPA, we added a simplified add assignment option. Users can add a single new assignment or add assignments in bulk within the add assignment option. When adding a single new assignment, users can choose the start and end dates, the unit, and add the value, and then add the resource and task for the new assignment. If working weekends is enabled, the user can also choose to include weekends in the duration of their new assignment. A new feature that we've added within a single project is the new single add assignment option. So now if I click on add assignment, you'll see now an option for single and also bulk. Bulk has always been existing, but single has now been added. This is where you can create a new assignment based on a duration. So let's say I want a new assignment from July 1st until September 30th. Then I can select the unit that I would like to select for the assignment. So if I put FTE, I can choose 1 FTE. And if I have weekends enabled, I can also apply to weekends. Then I can select the resource that I'd like and then the task that I want to put them on. Once I click add, they will then be added to the project within that duration. Within SPA, we added an advanced assignment options. When allocation is assigned to a resource, users with the project role permission access assignment options can select assignment options from the ellipses next to the resource's name to clone or shift the assignment. Clone will allow you to copy an existing assignment. Optionally, the user can move the assignment to a new time frame to another task and can select another resource. When using the shift option, this will allow you to shift the existing assignment to a new date. Within the single project allocation grid, we also have added now a new option called assignment options. This will allow you to either clone or shift the assignment. If you are cloning, you will need to put the assignment onto a new task. You can either select existing tasks or type in this box to create new tasks. So if I click development here, I could then choose also to change the start date of the assignment and also change the resource. I'm just going to apply this here so we can see what happens. So now as you can see, I clone this assignment and put it onto the development task here. Another option, like I've mentioned, is the shift option. So shifting here will allow you to keep the data on the same task, but you can shift it to a new start date. So now let's say I want to shift it to the 18th. I can go ahead and apply this, and now you can see that the data has been shifted. Within 10.0, we also added options for project financials, including attributes, and we also added code and description columns within financial categories. Within the project financials area of a project, users can now add multiple rows of the same category within their financials grid. Additionally, we added the option to group by financial type and other financial attributes within the grid, and also there are now filtering options as well. Within version 10.0, we added financial attributes and other financial updates. First, within attribute management, you'll now see a financials area within here where you can create custom attribution. These will now be available within the project financials grid. Additionally, if you go into financial categories, there are now two fields in here called code and description that are associated to the financial categories. Also, within project management area and financials, you can now bring in different columns for your attribution, as well as the type of the financials as well. And you can also filter on these and group by them as well. Additionally, we added an option where you can bring in the same category multiple times within the grid. This way, you can then associate different attribution to the same categories, but in multiple rows. Another thing that we've added within 10.0 is project milestone attributes. Milestone attributes can be created within attribute management and also added to the milestones attribute layout. Within the milestones area of a project, the users can fill out them when creating a project milestone. They can also edit these attributes in line within the milestones grid. Another update that we made is that we added milestone attributes. These are all custom attributes that the users can define within attribute management. Additionally, you can add them to your layout so they'll be available when creating brand new milestones. So within here, you can bring in the attributes that would be created and bring them into your layout. Then within your project milestones area, you can click add milestone and you'll see those attributes within your layout here. So from here, you can put your name, you can add your description, you can add your date of the milestone, you can choose the shape and the color, and then down here, you can put in the different attribute values. Once you add these in, you will be able to bring in the different attributes as columns and edit them within the grid. Additionally, you can export this out to Excel, and you can also group by your attributes and filter on them as well. Within Project Schedule, we added a status column so users can bring in and change the status of their tasks. Each status also has a background color assigned. Additionally, we added a quick filter option to filter on the statuses. Within Project Schedule, we've also made some additions. So now if I go into a project and go into the schedule area here, you can now see that there's a status column here. This will now be available in all schedules, and then the users can go in here and update the different statuses as they need. Additionally, each one will have a color associated to it. Lastly, you can also use this quick filter to filter out the different statuses that you want to see or don't want to see. Within version 10.0, we added Slack notifications. Users can subscribe to Slack notifications for project updates, timesheet events, and resource request events. Within version 10.0, we've also added Slack notifications. These can be enabled by the administrator going to Admin Settings, General Settings, and then Miscellaneous, and then they can enable the option Slack here and the Allowed Notifications type field. Then the users can go into their subscriptions area under their name and then subscribe to any of the Slack notification options. So these include project, Slack, scribe mentions, timesheets, and resource requests. Once these have been subscribed to, then they would need to configure the Slack bot to then allow them to get the notifications. Within 10.0, we added what if enhancements. We added enhanced security in Tempus what if. So now when the general setting enable permissions in what if is enabled, project names, resource names, and attribute values in what if models will be obfuscated based on the user's supergrid permissions. We also added a quick search option in the Gantt view where users can search by their project names. An overlay heat map option has been added to the top resource grid within the models, and also users will be able to view their planning intervals in their models. Skills can also be added to the top resource grid tab within the model. Within version 10.0, we've made some updates to Tempus what if. Within Admin Settings, General Settings, Miscellaneous, the administrator can come in here and enable the option called Enable Permissions in Tempus what if. When this is enabled, the users that are logged in will no longer be able to see the names of the projects and resources that they don't have access to based on their security. So if I log in now as a user who does not have access to certain projects and resources, I will now see it say hidden project and then hidden resource as well below. They still will be able to access the capacity and allocation though of those hidden projects and resources. For any projects they have access to, they will still be able to see the attributes, but they will be hidden for any projects they don't have access to. Another thing that we've added is the Show Planning Intervals option. When this is enabled, you can now see the planning intervals enabled within your system. Within the grid, we've also added a heat map option where you can turn on the heat map to see the different information display. Additionally, you can now bring in skills via insert columns. Within version 10.0, we also made some additional updates. Now there's a scheduled training option available that administrators can turn on or off depending on if they want their users to reach out to support to schedule training for Tempus. Additionally, within admin settings and general settings, they can also turn off different data sync options. So within the data sync area of general settings, you can choose the available synchronizations that you would like to see within Tempus. If you deselect these, they will be hidden from the data sync area. Additionally, all of the different Excel options will be available. Within role management, we added some grouping options and security tooltips so you can see what each security permission means. Additionally, you can export these now to Excel. Within View Management, you can now create different views for the Resource Management Net Availability Grid. You can also clone existing views if you would like to make similar views for other groups. Within the Resource Management grids, you can also bring in your skills as columns. You can also do this within the Net Availability grid. Within the audit log, we've also added some updates. You can now exclude actors if you don't want to see certain logs made by certain people or API accounts. We also have added the option to add a time associated to the different start and end dates. If anyone has any questions about 10.0, please don't hesitate to reach out to support@prosymmetry.com. Thank you.